Hi. Welcome to the Caregiver Support Program's Program of Comprehensive Assistance for Family Caregivers, or PCAFC, Review and Appeal Options video series. In this video, we will discuss VA Form 20-0995, Decision Review Request, Supplemental Claim. This option is available as a part of the Veterans Appeals Improvement and Modernization Act of 2017, also known as the Appeals Modernization Act, or AMA, which created a modernized review system that provides additional options for seeking review or appeal of VA decisions. The supplemental claim is available for decisions issued on or after February 19, 2019. Or when opting in from the legacy appeals process, after you receive your statement of the case. You will be provided with a discussion between a caregiver who wishes to file a supplemental claim, and the local CSP team member. At the conclusion of this video, you should be able to describe when to use VA Form 20-0995 for a supplemental claim, identify the issues of disagreement regarding PCAFC decisions for a supplemental claim, and explain what is considered new and relevant evidence. Let's begin.
Hi John, thank you for taking my call. As you may recall, the veteran I care for received his PCAFC decision April 12, 2022, and it was denied. He has some additional information that he would like to submit related to his case. Can you let me know what steps we can take to get the additional information submitted?
Joan, good to hear from you. When you disagree with your PCAFC decision and want to provide additional information that is new and relevant to support your claim, you can file a supplemental claim. VA Form 20-0995 is the form used to submit the supplemental claim. This option is available for decisions rendered on or after February 19, 2019, or when opting in from the legacy appeals process. The supplemental claim provides the opportunity for a new review of an issue that was previously decided by VA when new and relevant evidence is available that VA did not previously have. If you need help completing the form, you may contact your accredited representative such as an attorney, claims agent, or veteran service organizations, also known as a VSO representative. These individuals can help you determine if a supplemental claim is the correct path for you, and to ensure your form is completed fully and accurately. If you have general questions about the supplemental claims process, or appealing a PCAFC decision, you may contact VA's Caregiver Support Line, CSL, at 1-855-260-3274. Their staff will be able to assist with general questions about the PCAFC appeals process. Let's review the sections of the form, so you are familiar with them. Part 1 of the form asks for the claimant's identifying information. In this section, you will enter information about the veteran and the claimant. This can be confusing, so let me explain what I mean by this. For the purposes of this form, the claimant can be the veteran or the caregiver, but in order to process the claim, we must have the veteran's information on the form. Therefore, you will always enter the veteran's information in boxes 1 through 6, even if the caregiver is the person filing the claim. We need this information to be able to locate the veteran in our system. If we are unable to locate the veteran, we will need to mail a letter to gather more information, which could result in a delay in processing your claim. After filling out the information about the veteran in boxes 1 through 6, you will then need to fill out information in box 7, as to who is the claimant. Note, there must only be one claimant per form submission. If the veteran is the claimant, and is submitting the form, box 7 can be left blank, and in box 8 veteran should be checked. If you, as the caregiver, are the claimant, you will place your name in box 7, and in box 8 you should check the appropriate relationship as veteran's spouse, veteran's child, veteran's parent, or other, and specify caregiver. In boxes 9 to 11, the claimant would enter their information. So, for instance, if you are the claimant, you would put your address, telephone number, and email address if you have one. If the veteran is the claimant, they would list their information in these boxes. In box 12, you must select Veterans Health Administration. It is very important that this box is selected correctly. PCAFC is a program in the Veterans Health Administration. By selecting Veterans Health Administration, it will assist with routing the form to our office so we can process your claim in a timely manner. If an incorrect box is selected, it may not be sent to the Caregiver Support Program, which will result in either a delay in receiving your claim, or we may not receive it at all. In Part 2 of the form, called Issues for Supplemental Claim, you will need to list the issues with which you disagree. Starting in Box 13A, you will list each issue of disagreement regarding your PCAFC decisions that you want reviewed as part of your supplemental claim. A few examples of issues of disagreement are PCAFC application denial, PCAFC stipend level assigned, or discharge or revocation from PCAFC. For instance, in your case, if you disagree with the decision that the veteran you work with was found ineligible for participation in PCAFC in April 2022, you would write PCAFC application denial in Box 13A. For each issue of disagreement listed in Box 13A, you will also need to enter the PCAFC decision date for that issue. This can be found on your PCAFC decision letter. So, in your case, you disagree with your application being denied in April 2022, and your decision letter is dated April 12, 2022, that is the date you would include in Box 13B. If you do not have enough information to fill out Part 2, you can submit a VA Form 10-306, Request for Information about PCAFC Decisions, and VA will provide you information about your PCAFC decisions. In Part 3 of the form, called New and Relevant Evidence, you will list out the new and relevant information you are submitting to support your claim. You can also identify relevant records that you would like VA to obtain for you. But note, the evidence you submit must meet the standard of being both new and relevant in order for it to be considered. Let's take a closer look at what it means for information to be new and relevant. New information is information that was not available or reviewed at the time of the original decision. Let me provide an example. If the veteran was seeing a private provider instead of going to the VA to receive medical care, and VA was not aware of this before making the decision, this is considered new. If, however, VA knew a veteran was seeing a private provider and was able to obtain those records to consider when making their decision, those same records would not be new. Additionally, I should point out that if the veteran was only seeing VA providers for care, these records would not be considered new because they were already on file with the VA and reviewed when the decision was originally made. For information to be considered relevant, it needs to prove or disprove something in your claim. In the example I just gave you about private provider medical records, these records would only be considered relevant if the veteran claims that they should be eligible for the program, and these private provider records relate to his need for a caregiver based on his medical conditions. While new and relevant evidence can relate to any element of the previously denied claim, it is most helpful if the evidence addresses the issue leading to the previous denial. For instance, if you disagree with the decision that the veteran did not require personal care services related to assistance with activities of daily living, or ADLs, the most helpful information to provide would be related to the veteran's functioning and ADL needs from the time the veteran filed an application to enter the program, until time of the original decision. Remember, the decision you are disputing was in the past, so we need information regarding that specific time frame to support your claim that the VA made an incorrect decision. The time frame is from the date you submitted your application to PCAFC until the original decision date. If the veteran's condition changed after the decision was made, it is better to submit a new application to PCAFC so we can obtain an updated assessment of the veteran's needs. If you know of evidence and want VA to obtain the information for you, be sure to provide VA with enough information about the evidence so they can request it from the person or agency that has it. If it's a VA medical facility or other federal department or agency, VA will retrieve the records you have identified. A release of information is not needed for these agencies. However, vet centers are an exception and require a completed VA Form 10-5345, request for an authorization to release health information, in order to obtain those records. When the records are from a non-VA or federal agency, VA will require the appropriate release of information to be included in the supplemental claims request. Please include the completed VA Form 21-4142, Authorization to Disclose Information to the Department of Veterans Affairs, and VA Form 21-4142A, General Release for Medical Provider Information to the Department of Veterans Affairs. Both completed forms are needed to assist in processing your request. If the holder of the evidence declines to give it to VA, asks for a fee to provide it, or otherwise cannot get the evidence, VA will notify you and provide you with an opportunity to submit the information or evidence. Prior to submitting your supplemental claim, it is important to include the information you want reviewed as part of your claim, or attach the appropriate release of information. If this information is not provided at the time of submission, VA will need to send written correspondence requesting the missing information, which will lead to a delay in processing your claim. Part 4, 5103 Notice Acknowledgement, is only completed for claims related to disability compensation, pension, DIC, and accrued benefit claims. This section should be left blank for supplemental claims related to PCAFC decisions. The final part, called Certification and Signature, is where you will sign the supplemental claim certifying that the statements on the form are true and correct to the best of the claimant's or authorized representative's knowledge and belief. It is important to note that the identified claimant will need to sign the form. If the form is not signed properly, this will result in a delay in processing your request. There are 3 possible options for signature. If the veteran is the claimant and submitting the form, the veteran must sign the form in box 17A and date the form in box 17B. If the caregiver is the claimant and listed in box 7, the caregiver must sign the form in box 17A and date the form in box 17B. An authorized representative can also complete the form on behalf of the veteran or caregiver. For claims with an authorized representative, there are very specific requirements. In particular, an authorized representative's signature will not be accepted unless at the time of submission of your claim a valid VA Form 2122 or 2122A is attached, or can be found on file with VA. If one of these forms is not already on file with VA, you will need to submit the appropriate form with your supplemental claim. The authorized representative will sign the form in box 17A, print their name in box 17C, and date the form in box 17B. However, if the veteran is unable to sign, based on very specific criteria, then an alternate signer may need to complete and sign the form. More specifically, if an alternate signature is present, a VA Form 21-0972 must be attached, or found on file with the VA at the time of submission of this claim. An alternate signer may be a court-appointed representative, an attorney, someone with power of attorney, a person responsible for care of the claimant, or a manager or principal officer acting on behalf of an institution responsible for the care of an individual. An alternate signer may be used in instances where the claimant is under age 18, deemed mentally incompetent to complete the form accurately, or is someone who is physically unable to complete the form. The alternate signer will sign the form in box 18A and print their name in box 18C. They will need to date the form in box 18B. Once complete, you will submit the form via mail to Veterans Affairs Evidence Intake Center, P.O. Box 5154, Janesville, Wisconsin 53547. It is important that your form is mailed to this address, as this will help to ensure it goes to the appropriate office for processing. Using another method, like faxing the form, or using the Veterans Benefits Administration, or VBA's online Quick Submit portal, will result in a delay in getting it to the appropriate office for processing.
Great, thank you for going over how to file a supplemental claim using VA Form 20-0995. I feel more prepared now on how to proceed.
This concludes the video for VA Form 20-0995. You should now be able to describe when to use VA Form 20-0995 for a supplemental claim, identify the issues for a supplemental claim, and explain what is considered new and relevant evidence. Be sure to tune in for more videos on PCAFC decisions.